All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. This is the second episode, I guess, of Appendix Talks with guests Constant Practice. Please give them a warm welcome. Yeah, could you guys introduce yourselves, like your names and stuff, I guess?
Zeke Hemi. Okay, we're good. I'm Zeke Hemi. I'm the owner and founder of Constant Practice. This is Paris Jonah.
It's Paris Jonah Special Edition. I'm Jonah. I'm Jonah.
Hi, Jonah. So yeah, we want to start from the beginning, I guess. So in the beginning, it was just you, Zeke.
Yeah, just started selling on Grailed in 2016, and it was just suddenly figured out how to flip clothes for money. I didn't really even know that was a thing for a long time. I had just gotten into clothing and fashion and all that stuff, and I remember selling a public school New Era hat. I bought it for $45 and flipped it for 215 or something at the time. And I was like, oh, I can make some money doing this. I can buy clothes I like, and if I don't like it, I can flip it or move it and reinvest the cash. And then slowly started getting more into other things like undercover, helmet laying and all that stuff during the Grailed era, which is 2016. It seemed like it was kind of like a niche thing to do, but I got interested in it and started kind of going down the rabbit hole that everybody was doing at the time, and then kind of started doing my own thing a little bit later after that, once I kind of had more of a perspective on what I wanted to do rather than just kind of emulating what other people were doing at the time.
All right, and then how did you switch from being a pretty famous, I think, Grailed seller to the page in the form that we know of today?
I did a thing with Grailed, some capsule release thing I did with Grailed for Cav-Empt. I was really big into Cav-Empt at the time, and Cav-Empt had been around for a few years, and I started collecting some of their stuff, earlier stuff, that I liked and that I knew was hard to find, and I knew there was kind of a desire for certain people in the Cav-Empt community that wanted certain pieces and stuff like that. And so I did that I collected 20 pieces, Cav-Empt pieces that were pretty rare and hard to find, and then I did this release with Grailed, just basically dumping them all on there and doing a photo shoot or whatever with it, and it was pretty cool. It was fun. It was the first type of little mini capsule project I did with any type of brand. Not that I worked with them or anything, but just kind of collecting and selling them as a whole unit, in a sense. And then, funny enough, I actually used all that money to buy my wife's engagement ring. And so I ended up being broke after that with all the money that I invested into clothes. And so I actually took a hiatus for about 6 months and wasn't really buying or selling anything for a while. And then I eventually did pick it back up again after that, and started on Grailed more, and started getting into other brands like Yoji, Say, and Comb. And at the same time, I had started an Instagram account for the Cav-Empt release that we did with Grailed. And so I had just kind of simultaneously posted both on Grailed and on Instagram, and kind of just started building it that way, the account. So kind of utilizing both platforms, whether someone wanted to buy on Grailed or on Instagram.
Right, and you were very famous for your videos. When did you start doing that? Because I guess you premiered a new way of showcasing features and clothing. When did that happen?
That started in end of 2021 into 2022. That's about the time when Jonah, voice cracked. It never stops. This
is actually what his voice sounds like.
Yeah, this is the reel. You're getting a reel for an hour, basically. You can listen to it to go to sleep. It started in 2021. Jonah started around that time, or in the beginning of 2022, and we did this is actually before you started. I did a Mandarin a duck reel with Brian Jimenez, from a New York designer. He had come and visit, and we did our Mandarina duck reel for the Pocket for the very first time. And once I posted that and I saw like the level of engagement, I was like, oh, this is like a really cool way to be doing it. People are also interested in it. And so at that point, I was trying to figure out how do you kind of like make a playbook for it, in a sense, for doing the videos and all that stuff.
Yeah, because before that you were just doing flat lays, I guess, like everyone else, right?
Yeah, flat lays were the big thing for about, I would say, 5 years. That was all I had to do. It was a much easier time. You didn't really have to think too hard. You just kind of like buy the piece, flats, and on body.
And how big was the change when you switched to like doing a lot of video?
It was big. I mean, that's huge props to Jonah, because we were doing a lot of content and a lot of pieces.
Yeah, we scrolled back. It's crazy. Like it's so much stuff. It's
Yeah, I'd been collecting Hemnet, Gerbeau, Mandarina duck, Samsonite. I was collecting it basically for about 2 or 3 years, just exclusively without releasing anything. And so in 2022, I was actually when I started doing this full time, and that's when Jonah came on. So it's like we had this, maybe like 300 to 500 pieces of clothing that we needed to, figure out how do we get up and how do we kind of like show it off in the best way and market it and sell it and kind of tell a story of the brand, and all that. Basically kind of like package it up in a sense and make it digestible and entertaining and interesting, and to help people see the value in certain things, because certain brands are harder to see the value in than others. Obviously, some are more obvious. Like Mandarina duck is one that, there's a lot of functionality. There's a lot of cool stuff. The cooler pieces that have that functionality sell pretty well. But even the basic stuff is actually extremely nice. Unfortunately for us, we don't have a physical store where you can try stuff on, because I think it would change a lot of people's mind if you see the stuff in person. But the functional stuff helps, kind of get that person there.
Yeah, you just said Jonah arrived like in 21, 22, what you're doing in constant practice, did you know each other before? Like, are you coming from the same place? Or I don't know.
Yeah. I lived in Richmond, and he moved from Philly to Richmond, and then you got a space in the space we're in now, which is a really cool office in a old mansion in Richmond. But I was already living there and following the account and working and selling clothes as well on a much smaller scale. But I just offered to help him around the time of the Mandarina duck release. So yeah, that's just how it came to be. And then it was just a process of slowly releasing these collections that you had curated, and we just started from there. Yeah.
Was that super strategically planned out, that formula that you have of saving a lot of stuff and then releasing it all at once, or did that just happen from collecting?
It happened. It was a little strategic. I knew that once I started putting anything up on the account, people would just take notice and either buy it or they start looking for it themselves. So I intentionally did not really post anything. I did. There was some Hemnet and some MD stuff that did get posted earlier on, but once I kind of realized how much I liked the stuff and I wanted to buy more of it, I just kind of stopped doing that.
Yeah, I saw you were selling even Margiela and stuff. I never realized when I scrolled back.
Yeah, there's a whole timeline or era, buying experimentation going on throughout the initial few years, where I'm kind of figuring out, because there's a little bit of buying based on what people are interested in or what is currently hot, and then there's also exploratory buying, which is more what am I interested in, what is good design to me, and what do I want to buy, for myself, or what I personally find interesting. You're trying to balance the two, because like Yoji and stuff was really popular for a while, and I do like Yoji, but it was a very specific type of Yoji that was selling specifically to like collectors and stuff. And why I liked that, I didn't actually really wear it too often, and so I kind of was realizing I wanted to buy more what I personally am really interested in wearing or like, and that's kind of why I ended up going more into MD and Hemnet and Gerbeau, where I actually found a lot of interest in it. Yeah, did I answer the question?
Yeah. Because it's interesting. You're like the biggest page, I guess, in terms of numbers, doing this archive thing. And you're selling not the most, I guess, cliche or popular thing. I mean, you're not selling RAF or Chrome or ERT or whatever, right? You're selling this product that you don't see very, very often. I guess people have caught on to it and are sometimes maybe imitating it. But yeah, it's crazy how you built this very strong identity. Can you tell us a little bit more about like narrowing down the designers and creating the constant practice look that kind of goes into the product also you're making now, I feel?
I hope I answer this correctly, but basically the idea of constant practice is in the idea of what's being showcased, I think, at the end of the day, and what is interesting to us, whether that's like a pocket design or a shape of a jacket or color or fabric. I think it's more in that specific lane now than it was, early on. Particularly from a design standpoint, I think is really what I personally like right now, of like interesting pocket details, like different types of stitching in certain places, or on some pieces. One of my favorites right now is when designers do button welts. I think that's like the funniest thing to me of how complicated it is. You're basically adding a whole lot of extra work for yourself to do button welts, but it looks really clean. And a lot of times most people like don't even really notice it or even really think about it at all. And I think it's just kind of fun. And then other than that, like interesting neck designs for sweaters or interesting hood shapes where the patterning is like coming up from a different spot but still runs up in the hood. That type of stuff I really like a lot. And then the other thing is really just challenging my perception or my own personal taste a little bit, I think, is what I like too.
All right. And I want to talk also about you maybe working in the industry. The industry. Without necessarily naming names, but I feel like a lot of people, just people that are interested in vintage, that don't actually work in it, they don't realize how much of it is you guys helping brands, finding references and stuff. Can you like talk a little bit about that side?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of us work. I don't really know if it's a lot of it working with brands particularly, but there is some communication going on in terms of what they're looking for. But a lot of it ends up being just, we kind of have, for better or for worse, kind of put all the information out there at the same time. And so it's kind of really readily available for them to do what they want with it versus, if we were consulting and we didn't put anything online, then it's kind of, there's more of a dialogue there. But there is still a dialogue, and it's just very common for brands to be pulling pieces just to reference certain designs, whether that's like the pocket or the fit of the jacket or the fabric. And I find it to be one of the most interesting parts of the whole industry.
Is that like most of the work now for you, or are you also just selling a lot to the final customer? Are you more focused on finding references for brands? Like when you're buying, or?
I'm buying mainly for myself a lot of the time. It's not necessarily, like there are things that I buy that are what I think would probably sell and it's a good margin and all that stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm not really interested in what I'm buying, I don't really have a passion for it really. And I kind of get bored, I guess.
Okay. And is there any like designers that you were into before that now you don't feel as interesting? I saw your comment on calm, and I heard a few people tell me about it. They felt some type of way about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you tell us
No, I
about
mean,
that? Because you were selling com back in the day.
Yeah, I was selling calm. I mean, like for my personal interest and taste, I just don't. I understand the overall brand structure and all that stuff and what they're doing. I'm just saying, from a personal taste, I don't see much value in it personally for like why I am attracted to clothing. You know, like that's just not me. I'm not like that personally. So that's kind of why I said that comment. It's just kind of hyperbolic in a sense because everybody obviously loves comb. But at the end of the day, the majority of the time you see any comb, it's a lot of just, you know, for most people, you know, you're usually just buying like a sweatsuit that says comb on it, or you're buying a suit. And I mean, no shade to comb, but just not for me.
All right. And are you working on new brands that you're going to discuss?
Yeah, there's some new brands that we're working on, and hopefully within the next like 6 months.
All right. Do you feel like you'll always find new stuff to dig, or
yeah, hopefully, unless everybody starts buying everything. Giannis, George.
All right, Ty. You want to name every seller in the audience?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you tell us about the Constant Practice product? What was the first one? The Scully or?
No, the branch pant was actually.
Oh yeah, right.
In 2013, first time we ever tried doing production, which is a pain in the ass. I will.
You said not 2013.
Yeah. Or sorry, 2023. Sorry, I don't know. I said 2013. 2023, and.
That was the bag, right? No. What was that?
The pant.
Okay.
Yeah, the branch pant.
It's like articulated. It's an articulated trouser with like darted knees and back welt, like diagonal back welts, and it's like a combination of a work pant and like a technical pant, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, we were learning everything at the time, and then making it in New York, and that was just basically pure curiosity into the product development cycle or process, and we look back on it now, like, because it went remarkably well, honestly, for how little we knew at the time. But yeah, branch pant was our first thing.
It has always been an idea to make your own product, like since back days. Like obviously you had like thousands of products over the years. Like that's always been an idea to do your own.
Say that again.
Has it always been like an idea to make product?
Oh, no. Not at all. I actually was kind of against it. Jonah was the one that was pushing for it a lot, honestly. I had tried a long time ago, in like 2013 or 14, to do it before I'd even done the archive type stuff or vintage type stuff.
What was that?
And no, just wasted a shit ton of money and was like, nah, this sucks. I'm done. I'd rather just like buy some clothes and call it a day. But yeah, I mean, Jonah was a big one pushing for it, honestly. So ever since that first experience I had with it, I was like, nah, this shit sucks. I do not want to do this. I'm going to just stick to buying and selling clothes. But at this point, we've had some hits and we've had some misses, and it's just been a learning process the whole time. So you're kind of like doing schooling at the same time. You're kind of going through it, funny enough.
And do you want to grow it more? Like, is that an important part of the business? Yeah,
that's the point of it. We have so many references in the office of things that we could kind of leverage to make some interesting products. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and kind of goes back to your point about, brands referencing products is, they're doing the same thing. They're basically doing what we would be doing, or they're doing the referencing, so why can't we just do the same thing on our own and make some interesting, cool products that we want to, and, hopefully people will like them.
Yeah. And can you tell us about the references behind the recent product, maybe? Like, were you looking at something? I don't know, the dagger zip on the crew neck. The quarter zip.
Yeah, the quarter zip. So the zippers we use on the Terry stuff are all the Riri trope, which is a kind of an ode to Hemnet. She always uses those on her pieces, her made in England pieces, and we both just really like how they kind of like dangle. They look like a piece of jewelry a little bit. But in terms of the products, like the crest hood piece is the hood itself. The hood shape is actually based on an Issei hood shape that we really, really like. But basically putting it in Terry form, just because for us personally, or there's just a lot of the hood shapes designs don't seem to be too interesting to me, just in terms of the current market, where they feel like a little bit normal, but have a little bit of difference to them. For what I'm personally looking for, what Jonah's looking for. So it's again, it's a little bit of a selfish thing, similar to like how I buy. It's more personal to me, what I want and what I'm looking for, and that's basically what I go. Like if I like it and I want to make something like that, then
All right. Yeah, next one, I don't really know how to bring it about, but like you've seen so much product from the designers you curate. If I tell you like one name, could you elaborate a little bit on why you like that brand so much, etc.? Let's start with Gerbeau. Sure.
The playful functionality aspect of it. And I think that's kind of a common theme for a lot of the brands, or at least for probably Gerbeau and Issei. There's this like playful, utilitarian, functional aspect to those two brands, where it's kind of like you can do whatever. For Gerbeau specifically, it's kind of like you can do whatever you want with it, kind of modify it how you want. And then with Issei, it's really playful. It's a very, very Japanese way of designing, where you just kind of, he just seemed like he was having fun designing. It didn't seem like it was, what's the right word? Like high fashion-y.
Yeah, I think it's very optimistic. Would you agree?
Yeah. His very, very optimistic, very playful, like one-eye glasses and, jumper cable belts, funny scarves, funny hats, just stuff like that, where it's like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like where anybody, you don't have to be into clothes, would really enjoy or find it interesting or a little bit comical at the same time that, this thing was made and somebody's actually wearing it, or, it's just kind of like a nice thing, funny thing to look at the same time. So.
Armani.
Yeah.
I got bored with Armani.
Yeah, he got. Did I turn it off? No. Yeah, he got bored of Armani right about the time that I got back into it again. But I mean, Armani is like, great military references. In the like Emporio and Armani jeans lines. But like particular details about it is so hard, because like that brand is so vast, and rest in peace to Giorgio for sure. But I think the Armani's like strength is just in the sheer quality over time and over product, like the amount of product they made and the amount of quality that was in all of that is like, I think, second to none, maybe. But I think it's just like, taking the utilitarian pieces, military pieces, making them super wearable and everyday. Yeah, I think that's his strength.
Hamnet?
Oh, we could talk for hours. I bet both of us could. And that's probably our favorite. And that's just from a purely, or for many reasons, from a fabrication standpoint, huge. From a pattern standpoint, huge. And then just from an overall, just volume standpoint on her pieces, we think she's probably one of the best designers there's been for us personally, based on our taste for what we like about clothing. It's Do you have anything else to add, Jonah, about it? I mean, utility, patterning, the cotton fabrics, just beat the shit out of what you're wearing. It doesn't really matter. Type of thing.
Yeah, on fabric, I mean, one thing that we've really taken from her is like terry products and fleece products. I mean, we've taken a lot, but like that is one thing that, I mean, everyone knows about her like jackets, but then like her pants are like some of our favorite pants ever. And like, it's just not something that people really focus on about her. Her trousers are just like cut so well, and they're made in like these classic cotton military fabrics that just wear and age so well. And that's part of why we've only made things in cotton fabrics thus far, because we just love the way it ages and the way and how it just gets better over time. But Hamnet is just like, there's so many facets to her work. Yeah, like pants and trousers is a whole world, and then her fleece and terry stuff is just like so unique and intricate when you like get into the details. But then she has these like statement pieces as well that are just like blow your mind, and but still wearable a lot of the time too. So, yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And you were pretty early on Hamnet, right? Like, how did you find out about it? Because I feel like you introduced a lot of us to it, maybe.
Yeah, it was, huh? Just Kanye West, basically. Season 1, Kanye West, they reference Hemnet, Helmut Lang, and Margiela, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, everybody's doing a helmet, and I don't know who this and that person is, but let me look. And then I kind of just started deep diving on it on Instagram, and just because there's nothing online about it, and there are not a lot of people selling it. And I found some Japanese sellers that had it, particularly the cargo bomber that everybody knows at this point. And I just started like trying to find a few pieces over in Japan, and slowly got them in, and I actually sold a few early on in in 2020, a few of them, and then again, like I said earlier, I just kind of sold a few, and they're like, okay, I really like this, and so I stopped selling them and started just collecting it, and yeah, and it's been over the time too in terms of our appreciation for Hemnet stuff. Like we sold a lot of it, and only recently, since we started making products, have we really begun to understand like how good she was at what she did, for what we like at least, because obviously that's not for everybody, it's not everybody's fashion taste, but for us it speaks to us a lot, for the reasons we said earlier. So yeah.
And you said Helmut Lang. I'm curious what you think of Helmut.
I don't care too much. This is personally, it's just not my thing. I think it's because so many people were doing it at the time, and I didn't want to just be copying, personally. I understand why people like it. It's just not exactly what I personally like.
You also don't fit into any of it.
Yeah, probably.
That's a big part of it. You like to. There's something like very personal about it too. Like you want to have pieces you can get into and wear yourself for sure. Yeah. And the proportions and like not all helmet stuff, but like generally it's like a different silhouette than we go for.
I remember you selling a bit of CP company in Stone Island. What do you think of Massimo Osti?
Really good. Good. I just, I don't know. I like Massimo Osti stuff a lot too. Just I just kind of started selling it and I liked it, but I never really got too deep into it. And I think I was, I think I was just buying other stuff at the time, and it just kind of fell to the side. And other people picked it up.
Yeah, Mandarina deck.
About describing it. What about it? Just like describing it?
Yeah, well, we can say
about it?
And how did you find out about it also? Because I think you introduced a lot of people to it too.
The Super Modern Wardrobe book, I'm sure a lot of people know about now. I forget how I was introduced to that book, but I bought it off eBay, and then I started reading it, and that's a lot of the brands like Samsonite, MD, Final Ohm. What am I forgetting? There are a couple others in there.
Maybe?
Vex, yeah, Vex was in there too. And yeah, the MD thing was cool because in that book, that's where all the information was for that brand. And you couldn't really find any other information about it besides that book. And so then I just kind of went down a rabbit's hole trying to find it, buying it, even if it was women's or men's. I just didn't really care. And yeah, for me, it was really just, it was this nice blend of kind of like in between helmet and acronym a little bit, kind of like, what do we say? If Helmut Lang and acronym had a baby a little bit, it was kind of like, it's a very clean line, kind of hyper functional a little bit. But yeah, tech fabrics, but not too techy though, where it was like super nylon stuff. That's the other thing. MD's really good. Is the fabrications are really good and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just again. I think a common theme is the functional aspect of the clothing that I feel like I personally gravitate towards. As of late, it's been getting more into like fabrics and color and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, can you say something about Vex Generation also?
Crazy. I'd say that's more like the avant-garde. That's like the final tech wear boss, I would say, personally. Really interesting concepts. In terms of wearability, it is quite challenging. So there's a little bit of the downside to it. Like, it's a really interesting proposal, but I think the sweet spot for a lot of products that we love is like right in the middle, where it's just like one or two little design elements that kind of like challenge your thought process a little bit on how the neck was made or how the armhole was made and stuff like that, more so than about some of the crazier looking stuff at this point.
And are there like designers you're really into that you're not necessarily selling that maybe, I don't know, influenced you or you want to mention to finish this?
Yeah, we love like Phoebe Philo right now. Just for like, it's a little bit 80s, like pretty 80s inspired. Certain silhouettes and like details and stuff, and like her new brand, her namesake like brand, we've been following, and we just think like she's doing some unique things in the market right now. But in terms of like vintage, like I don't know, older designers.
It could be current also.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, what's you guys' take on Demna's Balenciaga? I saw you mention something about the boot at some point. What was it? The A6 boot?
Oh, right.
Yeah, they referenced that. Right?
Yeah.
Did you like Balenciaga, for example?
No.
All right.
I mean, it's fine. There's some bombers and stuff that look interesting, but I was talking about this with, I think it was Hugh yesterday from...
.com?
Yeah, from .com. I just don't... It had a chokehold on everybody for the most part, but in terms of the overall impact to fashion, I don't see the long-term kind of admiration for it, maybe, as I do for that, as I would for, like, Rick to be honest, in terms of like the overall impact his designer has on the industry as a whole and has their own world and perspective on it. And I think that's the main thing for me with like the brands that I really get into. They have a very unique design language and perspective to what they're doing. You know, they're very like specific on what they do. They really like him, that it's patterning, it's fabrics, it's cut, it's military references. Then you got Issei, which is like military references mixed with a little bit of Japanese influence with kimonos and stuff. But he also has this really playful element into it. And you know, then you got like MD with the other stuff that we talked about with them. And then like even like Stone or CP, like they have their very distinct identity and like specialty, and they don't really deviate from it. And I think that's why they're so impactful, because they just obsess about that thing and have a very unique perspective about it, which is what I think Rick does have, to be honest. And where like Balenciaga does too, in a little bit of a sense, but I don't think it's really challenging that much for the time being, like pushing stuff forward, like, you know, Osti was doing with Dying, for example. So.
I was gonna say, like, we're not buying it, but Margiela is like one I definitely love for, you know, there's some playfulness in its own way, and there's like some, you know, there's like military pieces as well, conceptual pieces. But yeah, I think probably just due to the market, I don't think we've gotten more into that.
All right. I think we could take some audience questions, maybe, if you're down. You guys got any questions? Or just raise your hand. If you don't, you don't.
Thanks. I'm curious, do you guys also have like a recent coming up brands or collections that you're also looking into or just taking interest in general?
In terms of new designers? Not so much. I mean, for a little bit, I was kind of getting into that space, but after a while of doing it, we just kind of ended up diverting back to vintage stuff. So it's kind of staying in the vintage space at this point, and then, you know, working on the products and stuff that we're doing internally at this point.
Thank you. Hi. So you are very famous for your archives works and archivist everything, and now you have your own brand under the same name. And is it hard to make people understand that you are not doing only archives now, archivist stuff? And if yes, how do you do to like make people know that you know you have a brand and still doing archive stuff? How do you do that? I know it's probably when you have like you are so famous for something, it's hard to make people know that it's not only that now.
Yeah. I think we have so many people following the account at this point that people follow us for different reasons, and they don't necessarily have to be into fashion. They could just be following it for entertainment purposes, just to, you know, see something weird or interesting. So, yeah, you're kind of always fighting it a little bit because people do know us for a certain thing. But we honestly try not to think about it too much. We have like the way we do our brand content and then the way we do our vintage content, and there is a little bit of overlap to those two, and you know, don't really try to think about it too hard, because we have tried thinking about it hard, and I don't think thinking really works too well for us, at least for me. Do you have a comment on that?
Your question was about like having a hard time convincing people that we're more than archive?
Not convincing, but make people know, because when you are famous or something, it's hard to, even if you post about it, everything, people will remind your name to be the archivist first, you know, when people think about you, they think about, oh, that's the archivist. and now they have to think, oh, that the guy who are doing archives and also have a brand, and that's probably hard to make the change.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're trying to convince anyone of anything. At this point, like, I think we're just trying to, do what interests us and follow that, like, whatever that is. And if it's at this point, I feel like we're at a point now where, we want to do whatever we want to do, and if it doesn't work, or people just say we're archivists or whatever, then that's fine. But like, I don't think we're like too stuck on like being viewed a certain way or trying to convince people of a direction we're going in.
Yeah, because some people even think like Issei products we're selling are our products. So again, the audience is so large. It's, some people comment on products sometime that are not ours and ask if we make them and stuff like that. So it's like there are a lot of people that aren't really that tapped in to what we're doing specifically. Again, they're kind of like peripheral people that have just kind of followed the account because they saw something interesting and they just kind of wanted to follow it for entertainment purposes, kind of in a sense. Like I'm going to open up Instagram, oh, this guy posted this funny thing, or da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, so.
I have one last question to following on your like own products. It's going to take you like more and more time, obviously. Do you see yourself like stopping selling vintage to like in the future to like focus only on your brand? Like, is it like the next step or like the objective?
I mean, well, I think we'll always be selling vintage stuff. In terms of the volume of the vintage, that may change based on how much is going on with the brand and kind of pulling us away from doing the vintage stuff. Because as you all know, it does take a lot of time looking for stuff and shipping, trading. You all are working a sales floor, but yeah, it does take a lot of time and effort just to be selling vintage clothes. So.
Who's your favorite or like the craziest client you've sold to, and what did they buy from you? If you can disclose.
Someone bought the 10K Yoji jacket. That's all I can tell you, though. Unfortunately, but.
Cool, thank you.
When we think about the US, we mostly think about Americana, vintage tees, Levi's. So I wanted to know, how do you see your contribution in the US and on the US market? Because you're selling mostly like European brands, Giobo and everything.
Are you talking about our overall impact in the US, or?
Yeah, creating a community, sell.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I feel like more of the community is honestly over here in Europe at this point. Early on, there was definitely a little bit of like a archivist community in the US, but it's definitely kind of gone away a bit. And I feel like in the last few years, it's definitely shifted over to here. I'd say we're probably like the last of the US-based like archive stores that are still around. There was like Silver League and Arbitrage. I don't know if you guys know Arbitrage or anything like that. Arbitrage is a good friend of ours. He's a funny guy. But a lot of those guys have kind of like gone away and doing other stuff now. So we're kind of holding down the fort, I guess.
What are you thinking about like brand making like reedition of their most like iconic stuff? Like for example, like some Parasite from General Research. Like I think they had like a reedition I don't remember with what brand, or like some Amnet like square-shaped pocket like bombers with like Yoki, I think. What are you thinking about like brand just making like re-edition of their best product?
It's all right. I just don't. It doesn't seem like there's too much that's actually being said or different being said. I can understand if you're like they're like trying to get into it again, and you know, wanting to take it slow and seeing what the demand is and stuff like that, and kind of playing it a little bit safer, which I feel like is probably what some people are doing. Some people may just be trying to capitalize on, you know, the hype in a way of, you know, that brand being talked about a lot. But I think, to be honest, the best thing to do would be to, you know, trying to add, what is the right word? Trying to move the brand forward again. Like it's one, like taking the ethos of the brand and trying to actually add to it or modify it from what they've done before, but still trying to like keep true to the brand. So like, you know, some of the brands may just need to update their silhouettes and stuff like that. And there's different ways to kind of like bring stuff back without it just being an exact replica in a sense. But yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.